Action. Action.
Hello there, Hello there, Roman's here and welcome to my next music review. Today it's going to be Ghost Prequelle.
Music review. Music review.
Ghost is a Swedish rock and metal group that is arguably one of the most famous groups in the genre. It's been something like 7 months ago when I went through their first 3 records, so their entire discography, and despite the lyricism on the first record, because I'm really not a fan of worshipping Satan and all that stuff, I really enjoyed the music. It seemed like a updated, modern Black Sabbath kind of music, but made like in the late 80s with a very big emphasis on riffs, and there was some church imagery and some Middle Ages feeling in that because of all the stage presence, and also the booklet of the first album. I really loved the style of the writing, and I liked how accessible they made that music, because despite that music being a sort of like a doom metal, doom rock, there were a lot of almost cheesy and very catchy choruses that made music very enjoyable for people who may not even be into that kind of music. And also the lead singer's voice is relatively clear. Their new album Prequelle is their 4th record that's coming out tomorrow, so the 1st of June 2018, and it is one of those records that really have a lot of hype before its release. This is arguably one of the most anticipated records of the year, and as of now I've heard it 5 times, so without further ado, let's look at the record. The album opens up with an intro called Ashes, which is a very strong Nightmare on Elm Street kind of vibe, very 80s horror atmosphere that eventually transforms into a heavier rock music. And then we have 2 songs. Rats is the first single. I really like this track. It has almost an hard and heavy riff that kind of reminds me of the 80s Dokken or Icon, or even the first album from Cinderella. Just listen to the songs like Night Songs or Somebody Save Me. And then you've got that rock chorus with those backing vocals that have a very strong 80s feeling. Now this is a very cool song. This is probably also the reason why it's the first single. The second track, Faith, is maybe even heavier with a very heavy doom-like riff. And I generally like the atmosphere of the song, but in my opinion the atmosphere is kind of broken in the chorus, that now strictly from a viewpoint of a songwriter I would probably try to put there either some really dark chorus or maybe make it a little stronger. And these are pretty much the only heavy tracks on the album, as the rest of the record follows a more of a pop or poppy 80s songwriting. See the Light is a song that's almost like a dark pop song that eventually transforms in a bridge into a modern rock song. And even the synthesizers that I really love, and especially the sound of them, give that very strong 80s vibe. And then you've got first of the 2 instrumentals called Miasma, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, and it's again very 80s track that has those synthesizers. It's very theatrical. From the middle of the song kind of rocks up. You've got keyboard and guitar solos, both of which are very encouraging and very positive, and they are really great. And then the last minute of the song is with a saxophone solo, and that's something pretty unpredictable from Ghost. Now I really like this track. If you like saxophone combined with rock music, I encourage you to check out my first single out of my recently released record called Pursuits in Life, and it's a heavy prog rock music without guitars. Instead you have drums, bass, saxophone and keyboards, so you may like that record. I have the first single on my channel. Album is available anywhere on all digital platforms, so you can check that out. So going back to this instrumental, I think it sounds really great. I really love this instrumental, but it kind of feels out of place, as maybe more tracks on the record, but it's like, you know, Ghosts are trying to create certain image with their music, and it seems like this song doesn't really serve the purpose. It's a song that if you put next to pretty much any song from the first album, you'd be like, whoa, is that the same group? Personally, thumbs up for Ghost for trying something new and trying to evolve, but I generally feel that this may be a pretty polarizing record. The second instrumental, and I don't even know how to pronounce it, Helvetes Fönster, if that's the name, is a completely different instrumental because it has a very cinematic fairy tale vibe that maybe reminds me of a more romantic version of Nightwish. And then the second half of the song seems even more mellow, with kind of a folk feeling. It's a really interesting instrumental, but I do prefer the first one. Danse Macabre, or Macabra, or however that's pronounced, is a very poppy track that really sounds like from the 80s. It's actually a cool song, and some people may complain that it's too accessible. Now, I've read some comparisons, like Ghosts is on the new record essentially a satanic ABBA. Now, I think that's pushing it a little bit, but this is definitely a very accessible tune. But on the other hand, I think that being accessible was always an aim that the Ghost had. Now, the new record may be different in that it's going slightly more into that commercial territory, but I think that this is a pretty cool song. And Which Image is another song that pretty much follows the same style. It's a very 80s poppy track with pretty cool, albeit a little predictable and cheesy chorus. Now, I'm definitely sure I've heard it in some different song before, but it really works and I like that song. Memoria is a song that has very theatrical and orchestral beginning, and then it transforms into a piano-based song that has almost neoclassical feeling. The album ends with a ballad called Life Eternal that lyrically kind of concludes the whole record, because the whole record is about death, about Black Plague and the unavoidability of death. And in this song it's kind of like, if you had a chance to have eternal life, would you take it? And towards the end of the song gets pretty epic, so it's a pretty big closing of the record. Now, I personally think that this may be a record that will polarize fans, because it's definitely very different from their previous 3 records. Now, it's been a while since I've listened to their first 3 albums, but I think that these 3 records were pretty consistent. Now, this new record is pretty different, and sometimes it feels a little unfocused. Sometimes I'm not sure what they were aiming for musically, because it's, I mean, most of the songs are pretty good. I generally enjoy the record, but it seems like they are not so cohesive. Some moments may feel out of place. This is probably the most 80s Ghost ever got. I don't really think that their previous works were very 80s-ish. Now correct me if I'm wrong. But for me personally, this is 7 points out of 10. Definitely not a bad record. It's a pretty good one. If you have heard it already, you can let me know in the comment section below how well do you think it compares to their previous stuff, which is your favorite record, or if you liked it or you didn't, if you agreed with me or you didn't. If you liked the review, don't forget to like, to subscribe, and well, thanks a lot for watching.